Tomorrow is April 14th, 2023, and it's the Day of No Silence, GLSEN's Day of No Silence. In the public schools of St. Paul, Minnesota, they say that GLSEN's National Day of Silence is April 14th, and the goal of the National Day of Silence is to raise awareness of the continued challenges experienced by LGBTQ people. While staff and students may choose to honor this day individually, this is historically the biggest LGBTQ+ student coordinated day of advocacy within the St. Paul public school system. Gender and sexuality alliances, GSAs, in secondary schools may coordinate for the Day of Silence on April 14th, or they may select another day for action. Some GSAs have shifted to coordinating a pride event at their school. Check in with the resources and LGBTQ+ contact staff at your site for more details. So, and then it goes on and gives some methods or ways that you can support the LGBTQ students in your school. About 2 years ago, around this time in 2021, I tried to have this statement read from the stage at the school I was teaching. Today is the day of silence to spread awareness about the effects of bullying and harassment of LGBTQ students. If you would like more information, please visit GLSEN's website or see Mr. Quinn. Now, I wasn't able to read that myself because I was on probation and I couldn't read things from the stage. I was on probation for a reason I'll tell you later, but it's mainly because I was outspoken, and in this case I was very improperly outspoken. But the purpose of GLSEN is to ensure that every member of every school community is valued and respected, regardless of sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression. Since I couldn't read that announcement myself, I handed it to a colleague and asked them to read it for me. And they informed me that they could not read it because it contained the words LGBTQ and GLSEN. And those were terms that were not allowed to be publicly spoken from the stage anymore. And I decided then that it was time to leave the school. I'd already thought about going part-time because I was just getting old and wanted to make room for a young whippersnapper. But I couldn't do that because I think I would just have been fired for insubordination and whatnot. Because you can't just go against the policy of the school. I'm very happy to see that some schools are supportive of their LGBTQ community, publicly supportive of their LGBTQ community. I looked at Tennessee's education website and I typed in LGBTQ, and the only thing that came up was nothing about support. Let me just put it that way. When I went to my former school's website and typed in LGBTQ, nothing came up. There were no results. When I type in diversity, there is a strong effort of diversity and inclusion at that school. Diversity of cultures, diversity of races, diversity of ethnicity, diversity of countries of origin. And in fact, I think that's where this shirt came from. Inclusion is an act, diversity is a fact. But this diversity includes the LGBTQ community, especially now, because there are so many legislatures that are passing laws against the LGBTQ folks. And honestly, I don't have family members that are gay or lesbian or trans that I know of, but I do have some dear friends. And I think that if you know people that are LGBTQ, especially if you know people that are trans, you may not be as strongly opposed to their lifestyle because you know the person and not just what you hear in the media and from legislators, unfortunately. I've tried to be supportive as much as I can. I had a student ask me if I would sponsor a GSA, a Gay Straight Alliance, at our school 20 so years ago. I don't know, 15, a long time ago. And so I said, sure. And so that club was a public club at the time. But eventually, over the years, that club changed at the same school that will not allow LGBTQ to be spoken now. That club changed to the, let's see, Social Justice Club, because some of the students didn't want their parents to know they were there, because they were scared of letting their parents know about their interest or their being an LGBTQ student person. And then I think that club changed its name to the Diversity Club, and then the Diversity Club is now, just seems to be involved with those identities and persons that I mentioned earlier. I'm sorry about the rambling nature of this. I don't really try to do these things for TikTok, for anybody really. So sorry, but if you're here still, thanks. I don't expect you to be. So I know. I mean, I understand. I had a cousin say something about the trans community participating in sports, and I'm not getting involved in that business. I just don't get involved in sports. I think that I just don't get involved in that. But as far as allowing folks to be themselves, and as far as passing laws to prohibit that when they're doing no harm, is really frightening. And to see the emphasis on banning drag performances, on banning pride events, on banning the teaching about LGBTQ issues in school, on banning the teaching about our very history of the United States and the way that we have utilized slavery to become the nation that we are. All of those things, those kinds of laws are very frightening, because we're denying an existence of something that is real. And I get it for some folks that watch a gay pride parade and go, what in the world are with these fantastic, fabulous, well, I don't think you would use those words necessarily. Maybe we might say flaunting and visually apparent folks expressing themselves. Why are they doing this? Why do they have to do this? And I think it's because we're not letting them be who they are. And drastic steps have to be taken in order to gain the humanity that most of us just take for granted. And I'm really starting to ramble, so I'll be quiet in a minute. I don't know that I'm going to continue speaking out like this just because I'm old. and because I spend more time in the woods, and because I don't know what good it does. But I want the good at least to know that if you're someone that I know, and you're gay, lesbian, trans, bisexual, whatever that I is, plus, I support you. Even if I don't get your pronouns right, even if I may not ever understand it, I support you, and I apologize for being so ignorant. And I hope that other folks will learn more about the LGBTQ lifestyle and get to know folks and stop this insane legislative assault on these folks in our community. Okay, I told you I would tell you about me being on probation, and that's because in my classroom I said the N-word, and I was using it in an educational, what I thought was an educational context. I thought I was using it in a compassionate context. I thought I was using it in a supportive of the Black Lives Movement context, but I was really wrong. Really wrong. And it hurt a lot of folks, and it was awful. And I should have known better. I just did not have, I had not educated myself. I mean, I can't believe how insensitive I was. And how lucky I was to be able to continue to teach after that, after doing research on what happens to people when they say that word out loud in the presence of black students. And I am very sorry about that still. And so I am very insecure about my speaking out, because I know how hurtful words can be. But I can't imagine the pain that LGBTQ folks are going through to see their personalities harassed and singled out and vilified by some of the lawmakers in our country right now. Tomorrow is the day of silence that is supposed to amplify the lack of us speaking about the bullying and harassment that the LGBTQ community endures constantly. But this year it's the day of no silence, because we need to speak up, we need to speak out, and we need to support each other.